Hey everyone, welcome back to the Black Girl Flow podcast. We hope that you guys are all doing well. We're wishing good vibes on y'all always. And y'all, if you haven't checked where the stars are, we are currently in Virgo season. And I'm honestly not really sure what Virgo season has in store for us. But first of all, shout out to all the Virgos because I just have to say, I love a Virgo. All right. I love all zodiac signs, but Virgos got a special place in my heart. So I hope.
What do you love about a Virgo? Tell the Virgos. Because they want the specific.
I just think that they're bad bitches.
What makes them a bad bitch?
The way that they carry themselves. Beyonce's a Virgo. Like, do I have to say anything else about it? Like,
it's giving. Virgos literally have an anthem this year.
Yeah, they really do. And one thing I like about Virgos, they're just very like pretty. They're just easy on the eyes. They take care of themselves.
It's giving
very
pretty
well.
Girl season. Oh, they had like very good routines and very good aesthetics. And yeah,
they're just like clean.
Yeah. And this is not referring to Virgo men because that's a whole different.
Yeah. I mean, we're not going to speak on the men. We're just speaking to the bad bitches. Okay. So I'm excited to see what Virgo season has in store for us because with Virgo season, just like weather in general, it starts to get more crisp. Mm-hmm. It starts to feel like fall weather is approaching and fall is like my favorite season ever. So I'm like just hype.
Yeah.
What's your pulse check looking like today, Missy?
Ooh, how am I feeling and doing? Honestly, it's been pretty busy. Like, I feel like everybody's squeezing in the last minute, like summer things and things like that. But I got a bike. Okay. And I'm super pumped about having a bike, especially for the fall time to just get to like skirt. Literally went on a bike ride the other day and pulled up and you were at the same place that we were going to breakfast and you were like, oh, so cute.
I know, y'all. Her and her man were just like on their bikes, just pulling up to like the best brunch spot in Durham, in my opinion. And I just wish I caught it on camera because it was such a cute little moment. And it's funny how Lexi's like pulse checks are always like, oh, like I'm making popsicles. Oh, I got a bike. Like just always connecting with the inner child, I feel like.
Not even. The thing is like, of course it's connecting to your, like, it's very playful things, but also like, when was the last time y'all got on a bike? Like, shit's still fun. Like you don't even have to be a kid to enjoy that. Like, it's just really fun.
Reclaiming it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, this is just what I want to be doing in my life right now. So that's been like a really fun highlight, and it makes me excited for like all the things to come. But the fall, it's already looking a little booked and busy.
Yeah, you're like gonna be just
catching flights, not feeling.
You've been really busy this year.
I know.
I would say since like October, November of last year, it's just gone and gone and gone. I'm like, wow.
I think this is like my life now. I don't think it's like just being busy.
I don't think so. I think this is a season because I think that your homeostasis is literally it's a long season.
Granted, my pattern did say this. If y'all are tapped into the pattern app, they did say I was in a season of growth and expansion.
Yeah,
growing pains. Okay, how are you, Olivia?
On my pattern, it says I'm in the activation of power, but
which is what I was in last year.
And let me ask
you stay wanting to be me.
Listen, let me ask you this because again, if like you need to download the pattern if you haven't downloaded it, but I'm in my activation of power phase. And do you feel like the universe kind of like pushed you to face yourself in a certain way? Because I feel like the universe is like trying to shove a mirror in my face and be like, look at yourself and like learn and heal and hear all the things that you've been like running from. And it feels like very much less of a, oh wow, like I'm so cool kind of phase, but more so of like, yo, I'm really like in the midst of healing from a lot of things, and this isn't as fun.
Me too long.
Yeah, this isn't as fun as I thought it was gonna be. Like activation of power just feels so, and it's like I'm growing a lot, but like in what other phase of life are you not growing? It just feels like
I think the phase of activating your power is different for different people, but I do think you get confronted with some of like the aspects of your life that are challenging, but you are equipped to. So like you might have been avoiding. So I don't necessarily think I was avoiding myself in that season, But like there were a lot of adult things I didn't want to do that I was doing, that I needed to do. And I did do, and I am doing. And now my life looks like it does. So
yeah,
I think that same type of like, no,
I don't want to do it. Don't make me do it.
I don't want to. Like, you know, that healthy amount of delusion where like you hear something that you just don't want to do and you're just like, no, like just no.
Right.
Like I know that's not happening.
Right.
No, I'm not doing that. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to do it.
I have to do it now.
Yeah. I feel like that's what that phase is.
Yeah. I mean, I think I was thinking about all the things that just like this year has like led me to. And I do think that I've done some
We want the tea.
pretty cool things. I mean, just like, you know, moving out of my parents' place was
Yeah.
like a huge thing for me, taking content creation more seriously.
Yeah.
Investing in this brand, trying to find my like footing being out here and stuff. I feel it all like happening now, but then at the same time, like the things that I feel like I used to lean on for comfort or distraction is no longer an option because it's just not as fun to me anymore. But like that's where I used to find validation or whatever the case is, and it just doesn't hit the same.
Yeah. I had a very similar interaction, and then I listened to this was like the height of Oprah's Super Soul Sunday in like her original podcast. This was back in undergrad, but when I came back from study abroad, like I was all types of wonky as people usually are, but I was in that similar, like the things that I thought I loved that like always grounded me weren't doing it anymore.
Yeah.
And at that time it was working out and like exercising, which, you know, I've always led a pretty active life, and I just didn't want to do it. Like it was just not hitting. And then I remember listening to an episode where it was like, excuse me. It was like almost like a hitting you on the head being like, hello, the math is not mathing. Like you're evolving. So why would you think the things that you were doing before you evolved were going to suit you in the same way? Like you got to find new things. And I remember exactly where I was when I listened to that, and it was like, oh, and they like used this rainbow metaphor where they were like, you're on the other side of the rainbow, like it doesn't look like the same side. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't know if that was even the right use of it, but
but it definitely puts things into perspective. So I think right now I'm just like, as I've been telling y'all, I'm not really trying to take as many flights or anything. Like I just need to stay put. And I can't even see to my birthday, which is something that I'm usually like, oh, like I'm just so excited for my birthday and that time of the year, and start planning early. Like
y'all, she's the housewife I didn't even ask for.
Not even this girl. I just think that I'm trying to just chill out, and I'm cool with chilling out. So y'all, I have a huge announcement. I got a car.
Whoa.
Whoop, whoop. Part of my pulse check because it was just
time.
that time.
It was
that
time. Y'all, she lasted longer than a lot of people bet than she would.
You bet. Let's be very clear. I was a hot girl walker, you know, whatever we call the girls that just walk these days. Whatever the name we've created, whatever aesthetic that is. But I was walking and I was just like, you know, I just need to be able to get in the car and do a bunch of stuff. So I think I'm interested in traveling in North Carolina and just like maybe to the states adjacent to North Carolina, but not like, you know.
I can't wait to be a passenger princess.
I don't think, do you really, you're someone that like likes to be in control though. So I just don't think that you like having other people drive you.
Another episode that we'll unpack.
Yeah, a whole episode on
control.
Why won't you allow me to drive you anymore?
Being a passenger, how to be the best passenger princess possible. But I think a lot of this, we're very excited for you and cannot wait for all the content of all the new adventures and explorations, because you know you give us the best food, the best music, the best insights. But I do think that like a lot of what we're talking about and like the newness of navigating, like a little bit of like when you're done with the height of a lot of change and now you're just trying to like settle into the change and settle into the newness, like how do you set yourself up for success in new phases of life? And we've talked a little bit about and had some really incredible guests on how important it is to have like great mindsets, and also the powerful tools of like reframing when like your negative talk might be in a certain way. But I'm really excited for this episode because we're diving a little bit more deeper into understanding growth mindsets and fixed mindsets, and how we can actually leverage that to help us navigate through these kind of settling in and new beginnings and new chapters in our life. So I'm really pumped.
Yeah, same. And I feel like we don't even really position ourselves as like a self-help podcast, because it's not like we are experts on any of these like topics that we're talking about.
Yeah.
But to be able to better aid us in how we can switch our mindsets and like be better in the things that we want to be better in, will help us contextualize and move forward and then help other people.
Yeah, I completely agree, because it's like, it's not that this is like a one size fits all either. It's more of like, find one that works for you. Here's what's been working for us.
Yeah.
And sometimes too, I find it really helpful. I don't know if this is your experience either, but to have like, sometimes you feel it in your body. And I think Black women specifically, like we have a lot of like knowledge that comes beyond just our thoughts and our thinking. Like we have a lot of intuition, and we have a lot of like physical responses to things. And so sometimes it's nice to be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I've basically been doing that. And now I have this language to help me know that this is what I was doing, by kind of overlaying it with whatever tools are being offered. So sometimes it's just helpful to be like, oh my gosh, that's what I'm doing when I'm talking to myself like that. Or like, that's what I feel like when I'm approaching a situation in that way. Like, oh, that's good to know that I can identify that, because if you can't name it, then it's like really hard to be better at it.
And for the girlies that haven't heard of like what a growth/fixed mindset is, like how would you explain that? Because I guess in my head, when I think of it, it's like, okay, just inching to be better and feeling like you can versus you can't do something. But do you feel like, I feel like you probably have like a more eloquent way of saying that.
She goes, cue the Lexi Thesaurus over here. No, I think the very simplistic way of it is very similar to that, in the sense of thinking that you can't do something versus you can do it. But it's actually funny, because I was talking about this at work recently, because many of y'all know I work in education, and we were talking a lot about how do you promote growth mindsets for students. And I really like, they gave this example of I can't do this ... yet. And that's the growth mindset, is like seeing the possibility. But if you really get to the nitty gritty of it, the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset is the idea and belief that somebody's ability or intelligence is fixed. So versus the fluidity and elasticity of the possibility to grow into something, and to grow your intellect, and to grow your ability. So I think a really common example is to be like, oh, I hate math, or I hate running. I'm never going to be good at it. I can't do that. That would be a very fixed mindset. A growth mindset is saying, I'm really struggling in math. I need to study on fractions, divisions to be better at math. Or I'm not enjoying running, but maybe if I try walking every day, then start jogging a little bit, then I'm going to get better at running.
Right.
And ultimately, that's a reflection of a belief you have about yourself and about somebody's ability. And then it just kind of manifests into a bunch of different actions. Because if you inherently don't believe in yourself, then the things that you encounter as like potentially a challenge, that if you are faced with a challenge, you're going to be really upset and frustrated if you have a fixed mindset, versus a growth mindset would see it as an opportunity to learn. And then, you keep going on through that action. So that's kind of how I understand it high level.
I love this mindset shift that like we're discussing, because I feel like so many of us feel like we can't do certain things, and we don't feel like we have the
100%
like resources or the tools to be able to achieve certain things. Like even for myself, I've always been like, I can't cook. Like that's just not something that I'm like very
had the ability or skill to do.
yeah, like I just don't feel like I'm strong in it. And I've been like, okay, like that's just a part of my personality trait now. Like it's just a quirky thing. Like don't expect much from me. But it's something that I've always wanted to learn how to do. But since I don't feel confident in it, I'm just always like, I can't do this. When even like when I have cooked, you're like, yo, but like you follow, like you can follow directions, like you can do these things. So why are you saying that you can't do it instead of just owning the fact that like you're not as great in it right now?
Actually, this does remind me. I did kind of flame you once
Yeah.
where I was like, I really hate when you say you
that.
can't cook to people because
Yeah.
you can.
Yeah.
I did, didn't I?
You sure did. She be eating me up. You think being living with your best friend and doing this stuff is easy? Y'all, she be eating me up on the daily.
I forgot
Yeah.
I did, because it would bother me that you would describe yourself like that, and I've seen her make really incredible meals and I've tasted them.
Yeah, but still, it's just kind of like. And when I was reading Atomic Habits by James Clear, I believe there was a chapter where he was talking about what we allow ourselves to do, like, or the things that we feel like we can't do is just because we haven't allotted ourselves enough time to do it. And the more time that we devote to something, the better we're able to get at it. And I actually don't think that's from Atomic Habits. I think that's actually from The Road Less Traveled, actually, from M. Scott Peck, because I actually remember it now. And he was just talking about like when we're able to give ourselves enough time to feel confident in it, like confidence is really just connected to the amount of time that we've given it. And I think of that when I think about imposter syndrome too, because sometimes we might not feel as confident to do certain things, but we just have to feel like, okay, more prepared to do whatever like that we set our mind out to do, whether that's like give a speech or, be in a certain room, have a certain opportunity. It's just about feeling prepared.
Yeah.
And didn't Oprah say that thing where it's like, luck is when opportunity meets preparedness. Exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a really great point. And in a way, sometimes we have a lot of that inspiration and examples of a growth mindset, because I think about like, not a lot of us aspire to be in, I'm trying to think of like a field that didn't exist, like tech fields. A lot of us didn't aspire to be in that as we were growing up, especially as it like came to be. But now we see all of these Black girls in tech and all of these examples on social media, and they're saying like, I never thought I could do this, but I followed these few steps and I committed to investing in myself and learning. A lot of it is just learning, like taking the certificate programs, doing these things, and now they've switched industries. I'm not saying that that's an example that all of us should go join tech, but it's like to see the possibility and opportunity rather than the barriers.
Absolutely.
And the obstacles, and seeing those, just that little reframing, like you said, can really open up an the chance to have that preparedness met with the confidence.
Exactly.
But it's an investment, and it's definitely a time, and you have to be prepared for all of that comes after that.
Yeah. And one thing I think that's been really helping me make sure that I am making progress within my growth mindset each week or day is I have like 3 bullet points under each area that I want to grow in my notes. So like, for example, I'll have a career section, I'll have a personal like brand section, I'll have a physical section, I've got a podcast section, and I have like 3 things that I really want to work on, because I feel like when you move past 3, it all just feels like
too much,
a like way bigger task than it needs to be. And even when it comes to like the physical section, it's not something that 3 things I need to get done today. It's just throughout the week. So I'll just be like, okay, work out Monday through Friday, and however I work out is like the task completed. So it doesn't have to be like, oh, I've got to do this fitness program. It's just walking. And I feel like that helps me stay on track. And I feel like that helps me make sure that my mindset is always thinking about the things that like I like to improve in. And I kind of want to touch on like this idea of productivity, because I feel like it definitely gets a bad rep sometimes. I think just given growing up in America, the connection towards productivity and capitalism is crazy. And I was actually listening to Balanced Black Girl, and she was talking about this a lot in one of her episodes. I think it was like self-care rituals. And she was talking about this, the connection between productivity and capitalism. And I think that I agree with her opinion in the sense of, we are taught to be more productive, and like self-help is linked to productivity. But I think if we were to reframe it and I'm like, okay, I just want better for myself, and this is the ideal person that I want to be, and so I'm constantly making steps to be 1% better in that, I don't think it has to feel so negative or feel so like divisive if we just start looking at it in a way of, slow and steady, like making simple steps to be better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's so much that just analyzing where this mindset shows up in our own lives can illuminate, because it's not one of those things that you wake up and you drink your cup of growth mindset and you're good for the day.
Yeah.
Like you might have a growth mindset in your career, but maybe a fixed mindset in your relationships, being like, I'm just going to be single forever. Like nobody's ever going to love me. That's a fixed mindset. Like, what do you mean? Like that you haven't done things or aren't, lovable in that way, versus I haven't met my partner yet.
Yeah.
And that's still coming towards me. I think for me, I also think about it in relationship to how I can support and interact with other people.
Yeah.
And I have this very toxic trait of thinking that I can convince everybody to run a half marathon with me. And as some people know, like I've run several, not because I like running. I actually really don't like running.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, at all. Like I do not find enjoyment in that at all.
I had no idea.
And a lot of people wouldn't know because it just doesn't match up. But
yeah,
every part of her wants to get into that right now.
Yeah, no, I really do. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah, I don't like running at all.
So then how did you find yourself doing half marathons?
I love a challenge.
Okay.
I love a challenge. And I love pushing my body.
She's one of those.
And I love pushing my body. And she goes, we've identified the culprit. But if some people will talk to me and they'll be like, I want to run a half marathon, but I don't like running. I hate running. I can't do it. I don't run. And I'm like, yeah, me neither. Like, I don't like running either. And, I didn't run before this either. And I don't train very well either. But like, I'm convinced anybody can do it. Mm-hmm. And I've pretty much convinced anybody who's like seriously approached me with the idea that they could do it. And we've run one, and I've run one with almost with somebody that I've been close with. And so it's like, to me, that's an example of when we can also remind each other that a growth mindset can actually better all of us too, because it is about the individual experience. But then also we can use this to hold each other accountable, to say like, oh my gosh, Liv, like you have so much potential. Me calling you out for your cooking. Like you can do this. You have done this. Mm-hmm. And that can also help us promote a growth mindset too.
Yeah. Wow. Half marathons, man.
From half marathons to cooking, it shows up everywhere.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think I'm going to get better at just changing the language. I truly feel like what we feel like we deserve and what we know we deserve, we eventually end up attracting when we're ready. Mm-hmm. And we just have to believe that when we're ready, everything will, come, but not trying to stagger our growth by not feeling like we're ready. I really feel like the universe, and God gives us he gives us battles to the toughest soldiers. I feel like we just have to reframe our mind to feel like, we are
capable. We are capable.
That's
and I think that's
word.
The biggest thing about it is that it's acknowledging and truly believing in ourselves and the people around us that we are capable, and that we have the tools necessary to grow our capacity to hold the challenges that occur in life and the desires that we have for us, ourselves, and the community around us, and honestly the world too.
So let us know how you guys are, getting into your growth mindset. What are you reframing in your life? Because we just trying to be like hot girls year round. Okay. And we feel like we can do whatever we set our mind to. Let us know if you also like these self-improvement type mindset shifts. I've noticed that people really like hearing us talk about the mindset shifts that we've had. So with that being said, we hope that you guys have a great rest of your day, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace, love, blessings.
Bye, guys.
Bye, y'all.